I've been a loving husband. I've been a homeless person. I've been a graduate from this university with Phi Kappa Phi honors at over 50 years old. I've been a Student Disability Award winning of the year at MJC. I have won the scholarship program to the University of Eli Lilly, and I have won the #1 mentoring award for the nation for mentoring people within this feeble idea that in my little factory, and I have hair, that I had found not so much to help you or those wonderful people in the audience to find their ways back to the community, but my goodness, I was hungry that I someday could find my way back. And today marks the attempt to continue as hard as I can to someday find that place where I belong. And when I look at Emerald, Melanie, Maria, I found it. Let's give them a hand for being here. So what do you think that has to do with anything in this modern times of the struggles in the Central Valley and the strong heritages of the Central Valley that has farmed the land and that has dug in the soil and that is now afraid to come out of their homes because they might be arrested and taken somewhere where they don't belong? I was a migrant worker. I was born in Sacramento. My brother was born in Phoenix, Arizona. My father settled in Modesto on Boulder Avenue in the heart of the barrio in a $50 a month home payment. You know why he came to Modesto? Because his grandfather, my grandfather, his father, was a worker for the city of Patterson, and he was getting old. My daddy needed to be close to him. So his grandkids, me, my brother, and my sister Karen, could experience what family is in the heart of the womb of heritage, culture, and respect. So the migrant work that we did, we traveled in carnivals. And it was no different. It was no different than the migrant workers today that were hiding from the IRS, or ICE, as you call it. I didn't even use my real name till I was 25 years old. I didn't use it because I was going to get on welfare. I didn't use it because I had all I needed. I used it because I was a hard-working man that didn't know how to do business models, that if my model would have been exposed, they would have took it out from under me. So on them rare occasions, not that rare, when I wound up in jail, and the guys come to bail me out, and when they come there and they use my other name, and the jailer looks at me straight in the eye and he says, "Mr. Black, why does everybody come to this jailhouse to get you but doesn't know your name?" And I said, "Sir, have you ever been called black?" That's stigma. And do you know what it's like for a bunch of these guys that travel in this traveling road show? You know what we are. We're dirty. We're the carnival people. Remember, we're the gypsies. We tell your fortunes. We're the ones that are looked down on. Is that not what's going on in America today to our beautiful people? Name your color. Name your cause. But our organization was all inclusive. There was no poverty. There was no unemployment. There was no welfare lines. There was no car loans. There was no carjacking, unless we went and got a car. We had a self-supporting organization designed through our own contributions. The only problem was, as you know, the day people, you can clearly see we're the night people. But the day people, you know them. They work at, Turkey Tech was here when I was at the Turlock Fairgrounds. My first spot, first time I set up a thing was on the Midway at Turlock Fair. And before that, my mentor's wife, who became a school teacher, went to Turkey Tech when it was in the barns at the fairgrounds, or something even worse than that, this story tells it. But this is history, ladies and gentlemen. Why ain't we talking history and we're trying to make this a mystery? We got to tell them where this heart and soul came from, and you can't be pretending like it didn't happen. People died for this to be on this campus. This is not a frickin' pleasure. People died to give us this education. Do you guys know what death means to an individual like me? Watch. It doesn't come back. So one of the things that I really understand about the scope of practice, and I wanna tell you what system of change looks like to me. Set change. This is who you see. This is who you get. My name is John Black. I have schizophrenia. But guess what? Guess what, ladies and gentlemen? And this is the number one thing I'm more proud of than anything in my life. At this moment, with you wonderful people, as you look me straight in the eye, as honest as I can be, I'm just god darn glad. See, I clean my voice up. That schizophrenia no longer has me. So we go on with the story. But first I want to bring this back down because I get a little. One of the things that I don't want to do here is I'm trying to bring kindness, and when I start feeling like I do right now, I got to bring this whole room back down. Not for you, but for the respect of you and for all the heritage. Can you just focus right now for a minute on all the beautiful people in your lives? Your kindergarten teacher, your uncles, your aunts, these people that you knew that are no longer here that made you who you are. You young people that are now here that understand what that means, just feel this in your heart. We'll bring you to a time and a place where there's no worry. Where you sat on your grandpa's lap and he says, son, I can tell you right now that this world is nothing but luck. I said, I thought so, but I'm going to tell you something else, son. The harder you work, the luckier you get. And then I just want to pause and I want to lift up the spirits of those ancestors. I want them to fly through this room so strong that it leaves me in utter peace. Then I'll get on with my talk. Help me now, because I don't want to bring this unsettled energy that I was starting to get to you people. So help me come back. Thanks. So anyhow, when I start out with a little spill, sometimes I talk about kindness, love, understanding, respect. And then in the first 5 minutes, I find myself flying around the room, throwing shirts over in the corner, running like this. I said, this is a calm one today, John. This is one where you don't do any showmanship. You don't do any of this. You don't say you're 63 years old and you can stand on your head and play violin. You don't say that. This is not fair. But what happens in this thing? So now I'm in migrant working. I'm digging it. And so we're traveling in the carnival. And at 5 years old, I'm working. Because there's no babysitters. There's no daycare. We all care. So this is my delusions. You know what's the greatest thing? For those of you that have children in the room, you know what the most greatest thing? And see that organization that used to be so adult, so so focused on helping people find their way back. We are now shifting to helping little kids never have to find a way back, to stay loving and whole and develop those brains, those trauma brains that are. I was in a big meeting in San Diego the other day, and the feds are getting hip to this too. So we're building prisons, penitentiaries, correction agencies. We're in a war against crime. And the only one that's winning this war is the correction unions, the state government police, the jail builders, the armed guards, so really what the feds, they know now, because police don't want mental health is not their job. They know it. So what they want to do now is they found now it's tracked itself. They know that there's a certain amount of time in development of children's brains between like 3 and 7, where the most, or even younger, where that's where your brain, this thing here that did good, but I had a predisposition for something that would elevate later. But it came back. Well, I'm still waiting, but anyhow. So now what we have these little brains that are always in trauma. My little teacher over there that has the children, lived experience raising children out of trauma, is now the trauma-based arts and the hearts programs, a window between worlds, and we already have contracts in the schools, and they're teaching currently. Wells Fargo Bank just funded us through the summer, and she's doing all the negotiations, and guess what I'm going to do? I may go to Nashville, see if I like it there, and these guys are going to teach kids. So back to my story. So we know that if you can reduce the trauma in these brains while they're developing, here's some of the things that we have shown in studies that we already reduced. Childhood pregnancy, truancy, incarceration, recidivism, drug addiction, alcoholism, broken homes, WIC program. So instead of building foster homes, WIC programs, corrections, and we know we've lost that war. Anybody say we won it? I'll raise my hand. I don't think we did. We ain't going to win it. So what they're saying is, we're throwing all this money, and the problem is getting worse. So why don't we stop with the problem that we're treating and really get serious here? The feds are saying it. They're demanding it. SAMHSA is going to every state, and they're coming in there with some tracking tools from 2008, and they're going to implement them in these states that are tracking this stuff that makes no sense, at least in their block grant programs to federal government money. And it's a tracking tool developed so highly esteemedly in 2008. So anyhow, enough of that. So get back to the carnival. So now I'm out there. I'm 5 years old. I was talking about imagination, if you guys forgot where I was at, because I sure did. But kids have the greatest imagination. So this is how I grew up. And just the other day, I got an awakening. Maybe it was just my imagination. But I'm at the carnival. And I'm in these circus sideshows. And every day, I'd get out there before the carnival opened. I'd go into the wild man's cage. And he would sit behind the cage, and we would talk. And he would say, I'd say, man, I didn't say much. He was mentoring me because he had a wig on. He's eating chicken and bones and stuff behind there. We're not open yet. So he's talking to me, and he goes, hey. And this is what I heard. And I took this until about 2 months ago, and I thought, oh, my goodness. But what I thought he told me all these years was, John, you're going to be somebody someday just like me. You'll make it to the big time. And then when I went in there when he was open, he didn't talk. He just screamed and grabbed the bars and jumped and screamed. And I would sit over there in the corner, a little kid, and just go, wow. And then what I kind of figured out the other day, nobody would do that. That couldn't have happened. So I had that delusion my whole life that was built in a Disneyland studio that manufactured my ability to believe in my heart that someday, somehow, I too could be in the big time. Wow, what a dream. Real or imaginary, what a dream. So now I'm lost again. So that's enough of my childhood. That's enough of my finishing lines. That's enough of everything I do. I'm down to 1 minute. So I'm going to speed it up about 10 feet. I know I can read signs. Okay, so what I was going to say, so now we're down in downtown Modesto. We got this easel, and we're on the corner of 13th and J. And you know what happens there? We connect individuals together in ways to give hope, direction, and lead to social connection. And you know how we do that? Trying to track it, want a discussion about it. So we moved along, never had any money. And then all of a sudden we found out that we got a contract for like $305,000. And you know what it's like to operationalize something that in your head, one guy, build the tracking tools, get it in place, get the banks, get everything in place before the money gets there, or you're afraid you're going to go to the state penitentiary. And to work it for 7 or 8 years, knowing that every day you're going to the state penitentiary. And then one day, all of a sudden, they release you, and that contracts and all those steps are gone. And you built the most amazing organization in the world, and now you don't have to do that anymore. And how wonderful is that? I really want to be serious about this. Stanislaus County helped me when I was the sickest. Stanislaus County gave me my volunteer job. Stanislaus County Contractor Teller Care gave me my outreach job for 10 years. Stanislaus County and the people in this county and the people that I work with and the strong leaders in this community hired me 10 years ago to be the advocate for Stanislaus County. And then 4 years ago, they honored me with the fact that I could redesign the program that I started out as a volunteer and turn it into the Wellness Recovery Center like they have never seen in the nation under a SAMHSA program and operate that successfully to this day. You want to talk about heritage and culture that you owe? I just want to say Stanislaus County, the leadership, the people that work so hard in prevention, early intervention, these folks that are tirelessly trying to find something that will help this hideous disease of mental illness that nobody can put a handle on it. And we will always blame the systems, the camera crew, the timekeeper didn't keep the right time. But one of the things that we never do inside of an incubator of gratitude, why don't we just say that disease took my wife who hung herself a year ago? Don't say that's the one that 40 years took me from my family. That's not the one that brought Pete out there, took him away from his family for 25 years. That's not the one that this little boy or these little girls or your brothers or your cousins or your mothers aren't at risk of being snatched out of your family. It's the hideous disease. And you just tag it to whatever you want to do it. Tag it to obesity, kills your daddy. Tag it to heart disease, it kills your mommy. Tag it to little kids that are more obese now than they have been in the history of mankind because we're going to get them a fast gulp. Tell them I'm gonna close about soon. Did you give me my 1 minute yet? Wow, that was a cool 5 minutes. The first 20 minutes I didn't even know I was here. Man, I could get warmed up if I had another hour. Hey, so anyhow, what I was going to say. So now my trip was the #1 leading killer in men and women, and the thing that develops all forms of disease is stress. That develops everything. Stress activates schizophrenia, bipolar disorder. Stress will put you in a room where you think if I isolate, it will be my cure for loneliness. Stress helps us birth unmature babies. Stress drives us to the liquor store in the middle of the night when we should stay home with our kids. But if we could just reduce stress. So here's the book I suggest anybody to read. And this is what my coach told me that I should read and that he could teach me something. And it was my Bible. Dead executives don't get the bonus. Wait a minute. So I lost 80 pounds, eating healthy. I exercise. There's nothing there but muscle. I can run around this track. I drive hot rod cars, park them wherever I want to, wherever I go. And I own this. This is how I'm going to walk from now on. I want you guys to pay attention. I'm going to walk like I got oil wells in my backyard. Nobody will ever know that sometimes this world is so hard. And now I answer questions.